Greetings, everyone. This is Amat as we begin to start a new series here. Um, this page is going to be known as Poison Seeds, and I'm hoping that this series, which I hope to continue over a long period of time, will really shed some insight and revelation as to what it is we face with respect to our food, what we're eating, seeds, additives, that we can arm ourselves with the information necessary to take control of our health and to say no to what the big drug and agri companies are doing with respect to food production and what I call taking control or trying to take control of nature. So, that being said, we're going to start by just breaking down and bringing some light to, or shedding some light, rather, I should say, on certain companies that are the, I would say, the forerunners from a long time ago when it comes to these technologies. And so we'll start with Monsanto. Monsanto is, of course, probably the largest agri-food company out there. It produces a litany of products from, fertilizers, so-called, to weed killers, to seeds, to bio engineered seeds, genetically engineered, different types of genetically engineered foods, additives, and so forth. And we're going to break down several things with respect to some of the things that Monsanto produces, the pain and destruction that they have inflicted all across the earth, and the way in which they have really poisoned the food chain with their genetically modified organisms and other things that they are doing as well. So I hope that it will be insightful and will, as I said, arm you with the information that you need, that you can make proper decisions and not be separated from your food. And so the next company that we will be looking at will be Altria. Now, Altria was formerly known as Philip Morris. And for those that are not too young, I should say, to remember, Philip Morris, of course, was one of the largest, if not the largest, manufacturers of cigarettes, and they still make cigarettes. When the cigarette companies were taken to court over leaked information by one of their dying executives that they knew from the onset 50, 60, 70 years ago or longer when they started producing and making cigarettes for public consumption, that cigarettes caused various types of cancer. Now, after they were sued and they had to pay out a tremendous amount of punitive damages with respect to these class action lawsuits, they rebranded themselves from Philip Morris and called themselves Altria. I also want you to keep in mind that Altria also owns food companies such as Nabisco, Kraft, and General Mills. And of course, these companies produce a lot of things that people buy and consume in their households with respect to processed foods and a lot of is going to be ADM, otherwise known as Archer Daniels Midland. They are also a very huge multinational, international agri-food company. They produce a lot of things such as vegetable oils, protein, meals, corn sweeteners, flour, and various feed ingredients. They're also involved in, supplement and so-called nutrition based animal products. They, produce genetically engineered corn and soybeans, wheat, cocoa, various types of sweeteners rather, fats, oils, flavors and colors, lots of other things. And we'll be looking at them a lot as we go through and do various presentations. They are also another insidious company with the things that they do with respect to genetically engineered seeds and genetically bioengineered food ingredients, I should say. The next company is going to be Bayer. Bayer is a German company, and they're also in the agri-food business, and they're highly involved in the production of various chemicals which are used throughout the agricultural business in food items. Of course, if you are familiar with medications, you also know that they are, they make things like aspirin and various other well-known pain medications. Their main area, very much like Monsanto, is what can be referred to as crop science. They are very involved in things such as also skincare, but their main focus, rather I should say, is development of things like seed oils, looking at different types of plant traits, so-called the development of seeds, and what they call crop protection from things like fungicides, production of fungicides, herbicides, and insecticides. So as we move forward, I'm going to be showing you two short videos from a documentary that was done many years ago called Our Daily Bread. It has practically been scrubbed from the internet. It's very difficult to find it. And I've only been able to take snippets, which I'm going to present to you here. But those snippets are very informative because they will paint a picture that will show us how long ago this process began, what they knew then, of course, which was not put out there in the public consciousness, and what these various things are doing to us, to those of us that consume a lot of these products. And the other thing I want to say as well, there has been this thought, or this I should say narrative, that genetically engineered ingredients and bioengineered food products are predominant only here in the United States and Canada and so on and so forth, and that there's this huge moratorium in Europe with respect to these items. That can be farther from the truth. As we know, Bayer is a German company. A lot of these products have poisoned the fields in a lot of these places. A lot of these products actually originated in European nations and are still predominant in various areas of food production and development of seeds. And so we're going to go right into looking at these two videos and see what information they provide. After that, I'm going to be putting up two presentations in part one and part one and part two, starting with looking at some of the things that Monsanto has been doing. I want to apologize ahead of the time because in those two presentations, the sound quality for some reason, or I should say the volume of the sound was very low. So you may need to increase your volume a bit. Again, my apology, but you'll be able to hear it clearly and as you follow along in the presentation. So that being said, let's get into it.
This is a dried parasitic insect that you eat every day. Because look here, if I crush a small pile of these insects and pour them into a vial of warm water, the water turns a deep red. This is used as a red dye under the names cochineal extract, natural red 4, E120, and carmine color. Carmine color is listed in the ingredients of this candy. So, this candy gets its color from parasitic insects. Guess which of these products have parasitic insects in them? They all do.
We stood up to Monsanto, and it went to trial. It ended up the Supreme Court of Canada, where everything they came after me, they lost. They lost the case, but the Supreme Court ruled that Monsanto's patent on a gene is valid. It doesn't matter how it ends up in any life form, they own and control it. And that was a startling decision, is that even if you have your crop, organic farmer or conventional farmer, and your crop is contaminated, the amount of contamination doesn't matter. They own your seeds and plants, and if you use them, you're liable to a lawsuit under patent law. So that's what the case is all about, and that shows how Monsanto can get control over the seed supply and food supply through cross-pollination, direct seed movement, blowing into wind or whatever. It doesn't matter how it gets there, the court's ruled. You don't own your seeds or plants anymore. So it would give them, the corporations now, total control over the seed supply, ultimately the food supply.
Unleash this massive experiment on huge numbers of farmers and consumers throughout the world in the absence of knowing what it's going to do. If it were a matter of life and death and survival, the risk might be worth it. But it's not a matter of life and death and survival. It may be a matter of life and death and survival for Monsanto and a few other chemical companies, but for most of us it isn't. We can eat perfectly good food without having it genetically modified. And these companies promise that in Africa and other parts of the third world, they'll be able to solve the problems of starvation and hunger by means of these crops. Well, if they could actually do that, rather than claim that they might be able to do it in the future, there'd probably be less argument about it. But the fact is that at the moment, this is simply a propaganda point that they make to try and justify the technology, claiming to be caring about poor people. Actually, they've put almost no effort into caring about poor people. Their whole effort has been put into getting richer themselves. So I see no reason why we should have an experiment inflicted upon us by companies whose only aim is profit on this massive scale. It's not worth taking any risks at all on a massive scale if there's no benefit associated with them. The calculus of risk and benefit in this case comes down in favor of avoiding the risks and sticking with what we know and trust, namely regular plants produced by regular plant breeding.
I just wanted to add that as we see here, we have Mondelez International. Mondelez International is a spin-off from Philip Morris, which is now called Altria. So as not to bring attention to themselves after the huge amount of payouts that they had to make after the lawsuits, the tobacco lawsuits, they spun off their food brand and created Mondelez. Now we're going to get back to Mondelez, of course, as well as Altria later on. But some of the brands that Mondelez International puts out there, or I should say makes, sells, ships all over the earth. We have Cadbury, there's Belvita, Chips Ahoy, Oreo, there's Milka, Cliff Bars, Honey Maid, Nabisco, Bornavita, Cheese Nips, Mondelez Kinder Joint, Sour Patch Kids, Toblerone, Chocolates, Côte d'Or, Filipinos, Fria, Halls, Kraft Foods, Philadelphia Cream Cheese, Ritz Crackers, Swedish Fish, and many more. So we're going to come back to Mondelez later on. These type of genetically engineered snack foods, processed foods, chemicals, all of these things that they feed. So the next few videos, that will be put up will be breaking down some of the seeds and genetically engineered foods that is put out there by Monsanto, of their insidiousness, and how they have sought and still continue to seek to control nature. So just sit back. I hope that you'll find these educational and arm you with the information that you need. Of course, as a people in our land, it's important because they continue to try to push these things in Al-Kabilan, aka Africa, to poison the food chain and to try to take control of food sources. So I just want to say, if you've made it this far in the video, please subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell so the algorithm can carry this information out more to a wider audience, to those of us, or those rather I should say, that need to hear this information. Okay, see you on the next one.